Larry King, the Brooklyn-born man who became a beloved broadcast pioneer and renowned talk show host, died on January 23, 2021. King spent his final days at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles after having tested positive for COVID-19 in 2020, per a statement by his co-owned company Aura Media. The statement reads, "With profound sadness, Aura Media announces the death of our co-founder, host, and friend Larry King, who passed away this morning at age 87 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. For 63 years and across the platforms of radio, television, and digital media, Larry's many thousands of interviews, awards, and global acclaim stand as a testament to his unique and lasting talent as a broadcaster. While his legions of viewers may think they knew him pretty well, there's much to be learned from the untold truth of the broadcast legend." When he decided to embark on a career in broadcasting, Larry King was not yet Larry King. He shared the story of how he came to be known by his now famous moniker during an interview with CNN's George Stroumboulopoulos.
It was May 1st, 1957, my first big day on the air.
Recalling day one of his tenure as on-air talent for a Miami radio station, King said, "My first big day on the air, and the general manager called me in. I had all my records prepared and he said, 'What name are you going to use?' I said, 'Larry Zager.' He said, 'You can't use that. It's too ethnic. People won't remember, won't know how to spell it. You better change your name.' With just 3 minutes until he was scheduled to go on the air, the panicked young disc jockey and the station's GM searched for a solution. As he recalled, the Miami Herald was open. There was an ad for King's Wholesale Liquors, which prompted the general manager to suggest he go with the name Larry King. And with that, broadcast history was made." Miami was the city where Larry King both launched and built his career. As his on-air skills grew, so too did the opportunities. On a 2017 episode of The Turnaround, he reflected on his time as a DJ at a small station, which included hosting a morning show at a local restaurant. He also became the voice of the Miami Dolphins, providing color commentary while announcing the NFL team's games during the 1970 and 1971 seasons. Decades after leaving Miami, King returned to the city in 2017. During that trip, he spoke with the Miami Herald about his lingering fondness for what was once his adopted home, saying, "I have a special place in my heart for Miami, and I'm still a Dolphins fan. I've been out of Miami for 40 years and had a great time there. Began my career there." In 1961, Larry King was an up-and-coming radio DJ when he was cast in a locally shot television drama, Miami Undercover. The role wasn't much of a stretch, with King playing a Miami radio DJ named Sleepy Sam. In an episode called The Thrush in the show's one and only season, King's character is in the broadcast booth when two shady-looking, weapon-toting men enter. They offer him a bribe to play a particular record, but he refuses.
"I don't take payola from no creep little record outfit."
When a gun is held to his head, the DJ reluctantly agrees to play ball, but turns the tables by describing the criminals live on the air, addressing the Miami Police Department. Panicked, one of the goons guns him down. King's next acting role came more than 20 years later, when he made a brief cameo in Ghostbusters. After that, the dam burst, and he went on to act in dozens of films and TV series, usually playing himself, interviewing famous people on TV. By the early 1970s, Larry King's career was on the rise. He was appearing on radio, television, and in print, writing a column for the Miami Herald. That apparent success masked the fact that King perpetually lived beyond his means and was constantly in debt. Writing a bad $5,000 check led King to be arrested in December 1971 and charged with grand larceny. He eventually pleaded no contest to passing the check, with the larceny charge tossed. While King never served any time, the negative publicity slammed the brakes on his career. Writing about the incident on his website, King admits what he did was stupid and made him go through the embarrassment of being arrested and taken in for a mugshot. The shame was only part of it. In the wake of his arrest, he was dismissed from his job. As the South Florida Sun-Sentinel recalled, King didn't land another steady gig until 1975 and left Miami in 1978 for Washington, D.C. to host a national radio show. His luck improved significantly in 1985 when media mogul Ted Turner hired him for CNN. Larry King has interviewed several U.S. presidents, but there's only one he's hit with his car, John F. Kennedy. King told Anderson Cooper in a 2009 interview, "I crashed into him. I'm a struggling little disc jockey with 4 friends. We drive up to Palm Beach on a Sunday morning in 1959, and there is no one on the road. It's a beautiful Sunday morning." According to King, he was only driving about 10 miles an hour when he accidentally struck the back of Kennedy's vehicle, the only other car on the road at the time. King told Cooper that Kennedy got out of his car to talk to him and his passengers. King said, "The two of us are alone on the road. It's a sunny, beautiful morning. I said, I wasn't looking. I was sorry." He said, "Well, I'll tell you I'm going to run for president next year. Vote for me, swear." So we all raised our hands. We swear to vote for you. Of all Larry King's most memorable on-screen moments, The one that remains impossible to top is his delightfully loopy 1994 sit-down with Marlon Brando. The interview concluded with a brief shot of the legendary actor sitting next to King, his arm around the broadcaster's shoulder, as they duet on old-timey hit Got a Date with an Angel. At one point, Brando gives King an affectionate slap on each cheek before looking him deeply in the eyes, leaning in, and kissing him on the lips. That kiss is listed among King's best TV moments in magazines ranging from Entertainment Weekly to Time, and generated plenty of buzz. Washington Post TV critic Tom Shales, for example, described the interview by writing, "As wastes of time go, this one was particularly and perversely entertaining." The interview even inspired a Saturday Night Live sketch, with John Travolta as Brando and Kevin Nealon impersonating King, who rubs the actor's feet with oil and dons a baby bonnet at his request. As King shared in his book Truth Be Told, the Brando interview became the one interview that he's most asked about, writing, quote, "It ain't even close." The phrase lucky in love decidedly doesn't apply to Larry King. In 2019, people reported that King, who was then 85, filed for divorce from wife Shawn Southwick King after 22 years of marriage. The divorce filing was his 8th. In the wake of this news, Divorce magazine chronicled King's various marriages to 7 different women, and yes, that math checks out. He actually married and divorced Playboy bunny Aileen Atkins twice. King's most recent marriage was also his longest. The shortest was with second wife Annette K, with both the wedding and the divorce both taking place in 1961. Speaking with People about his 2019 divorce filing, King said his and Southwick's 26-year age gap became an issue. He also offered an explanation for his plethora of ex-wives, saying, "I got married a lot, but in my head, I'm not a marrying guy. When I grew up, nobody lived together. If you fell in love, you got married. And so I married the ones that I loved." However, King said that his marriages ended when he outgrew them, noting, "What I loved at 20 is not what I loved at 30, and what I loved at 30 is not what I loved at 40. Larry King's health woes have been well documented over the years. He suffered his first heart attack in 1987, requiring bypass surgery. His most recent heart attack occurred in 2019. As he explained during a WebMD Live event, when it came to maintaining his health, he, quote, "didn't do anything right." He was also a heavy smoker, noting that he sometimes smoked up to 3 packs per day. While he ditched cigarettes immediately after his first heart attack, that 3-pack-a-day habit may have had later repercussions when, in 2017, he shared he had been diagnosed with lung cancer. Unlike his headline-generating 1987 heart attack, he kept this health battle secret. King made the revelation in an interview with Us Weekly, saying, "The doctor said to me, it was malignant, but you were in the first stage. If it had stayed and we didn't find it, you would have had trouble in 2 or 3 years, but we got it and you were lucky." After undergoing surgery, King was back at work 2 weeks later. He declared that his latest chest x-ray was all clear after surgery removed 20% of the lung. In addition to his radio and television broadcasts, Larry King also had a column in USA Today. Before the newspaper dropped King's column in 2001, he wrote it for 2 decades. In addition to his USA Today gig, King has written more than a dozen books, including one focusing on prayer, another on his love of baseball, and even a book about Princess Diana. One thing readers may not know is that King is also the author of a murder mystery, the 2003 novel Moon Over Manhattan, which he co-wrote with Thomas H. Cook. King's foreword explains that he and Cook wrote the book as, quote, "a lighthearted tribute to all the crazy, wonderful characters who inhabit New York. We wanted to write a caper, something light and funny." It sounds like it worked. A review in Publishers Weekly described Moon Over Manhattan as a delightful farce and a riotous tale. Larry King doesn't like to do a lot of research on the guest he interviews, believing that leads to a more freewheeling, anything-goes conversation. In addition, he said on a 2017 episode of The Turnaround, it places him in the same uninformed position as the typical viewer. Some call it curiosity, whereas others may have another word for it. Speaking with The Guardian, King revealed that a friend once told him, quote, "You know the secret of your success? You're dumb." As an example, he pointed to a guest he had just interviewed, British television presenter Mary Berry of The Great British Bake Off. As The Guardian pointed out, it was apparent that King had little idea who Berry was. King concurred, but used the chef-turned-television personality as an example to prove his point, saying, like with the lady today, "Why do you want to bake cakes? What makes a good cake? What cakes do you like? What cakes don't you like? I'm dumb. I don't know a thing about baking."
Thank you so much, Mary Berry.
Larry King was once so broke he was arrested for bouncing a $5,000 check, with the Telegraph recalling that he even declared bankruptcy in 1978, listing debts of about $350,000. Since then, however, his financial position has improved significantly. According to Celebrity Net Worth, King is worth an estimated $50 million. Making big money came later in life for King. It wasn't until 1985, when he was in his 50s, that he landed the CNN gig that brought the big bucks. He told the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, "I really started making major money at 55. That's not young to start making money. It's kind of a hoot." Even then, King admitted he's always had a somewhat odd disconnect with money. "I have never seen one of my own paychecks, actually. I have it all sent to my money managers in Boston. They handle my mortgage, my credit cards, everything. I'm not good with business or finances. That's not my facility."